Hey kiddos, I wanted to have our children's message outside today so that I could show you some very special flowers. Now these flowers, sometimes they're called jonquils, sometimes they're called buttercups, sometimes they are called daffodils, and I like to call them just good old Easter flowers. And the reason I call them that is because they always bloom right before Easter. Now why do you think that is? I'll tell you why I think it is. I think that these flowers bloom right before Easter to tell us that the King, Jesus, is coming. Now, back in the old days, they had parades when kings would come into town. It would be a big spectacle, and they would have, the people would line up on both sides of the street, and they would cheer for their king, and they would wave things, and they're always in the beginning of the parade, there were trumpet bearers, and so these trumpet bearers would blow their trumpet to signal that somebody very important was coming. So these flowers right here, they actually look like trumpets, if you can tell there. So I wonder if they sound like trumpets. Do you want to find out? Let's find out. I'm going to give one a blow and see what happens. Did you hear that? They actually worked. Here, hold on, let me do it again. Well, that was pretty neat. I wonder if a different one would make a different sound. Let me pick a different one. How about this one? Let's see if he makes a different sound. Oh, it did. Did you hear that? Wait a minute. John. John was actually making that sound, but they do look a lot like trumpets. Now, I want to tell you, today is a very special Sunday in our church calendar, and it's called Palm Sunday, and it tells about it in the book of Matthew, chapter 21, and verses 1 through 9. So let me read those to you real quick. And it says, "As they approached Jerusalem and came to Bethphage on the Mount of Olives, Jesus sent 2 disciples, saying to them, 'Go to the village ahead of you, and at once you will find a donkey tied there, with her colt by her. Untie them and bring them to me. And if anyone says anything to you, tell him that the Lord needs them, and he will send them right away.' So this took place to fulfill what was spoken through the prophet. 'Say to the daughter of Zion, see, your king comes to you, gentle and riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey.' The disciples went and did as Jesus had instructed them. They brought the donkey and the colt and placed their cloaks on them, and Jesus sat on them. A very large crowd spread their cloaks on the road, while others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the road. The crowds that went ahead of him and those that followed shouted, 'Hosanna to the Son of David! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord! Hosanna in the highest!'" So when I read those passages, it reminds me of a parade, and also it reminds me, these flowers remind me of Easter. So this Palm Sunday took place when Jesus rode into Jerusalem on the back of a donkey. Very humble, not as a king with huge elephants and entertainers, but he was very humble, and he was on the back of a donkey. It marks the beginning of Holy Week. So this week we're going to celebrate Holy Week, which leads up to the crucifixion of Jesus and his death. But that's not the end of the story. Tune in next week and we'll talk about what comes next. I'll see you then.